Hello, you're about to hear Good Morning Seminole, our monthly signature event. Please enjoy.
All right, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's enjoyed your time to network. Give yourselves a big round of applause for such a nice, lively crowd. Absolutely. All right, if everyone could get settled, we're going to get started on a fascinating panel this morning. All right, thank you all for being out here today. This morning, we are talking about everyone's favorite and least favorite thing at the same time, which is social media. We all do it. I am Chip Colandreo with Lake Mary Life Publishing, CEO of Lifeline Media as well. Thank you out there. And social media has become an integral part of our business and the way we tell our stories and the way we promote our clients. But folks, it is a tool that must be handled with care, right? And the people that we're going to meet and talk to on today's panel are going to help us do that and do it effectively. So I want to bring up each of our wonderful panelists. We are going to start with Owen Fasolas, Director of Digital Programming for the Orlando Magic. Come on up, Owen. Next is Reese Crawford, Marketing Director for the Orlando Law Group. Big hand for Reese. Now we've got Alex Cohen. He's the owner of Foundation College Park. Big hand for Alex. And last but not least, the Director of Communications for the Central Florida Expressway Authority, Gio Morales. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Okay, so we're going to start with a question that on the surface of it might sound a little Captain Obvious, but I think there's some nuance to it, and that's just the why of all of this. Social media, to do it as much and as well as each of you and your businesses do, is so labor and time intensive. It introduces risk as we put our brands and ourselves out there in such a public and sort of interactive way. So why put yourself through it all? So Gio, we'll start with you from the Expressway Authority's point of view.
Can you guys hear me? Cool. Thanks, Chip. So for the Expressway Authority, for CFX, really, social media is all about connecting with our customers. We have, how many people here are ePass account holders? There we go. Cool.
Nice.
So we run ePass, so obviously we want to connect with our ePass customers. But not only there, we just want to reach out to people that are using our roads throughout Central Florida. So really, it's mainly about making that connection.
Very good. And for those of you who aren't ePass customers, come on now. See Gio on the way out. What are you doing? All right, Alex, what do you think?
I think it's the same thing for me. It's the easiest and most direct way to reach your customer base or audience, and I think it's the most efficient way to put your product or brand or service in front of a dialed-in audience, and it's also what works best for us as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, and Reese, your audience is a little bit unique, Orlando Law Group. So why do you do it?
For us, socials is more of a tool to stay connected with the community that we've built online. A majority of our incoming clients are referrals from previous clients or through the organizations that the law group sponsors. Thanks, guys. So for us, socials is really about engaging and informing our current audience and making sure that they know that we're here for them whenever they need us.
Very good. And the big social media presence, the magic.
Yeah, I think social media these days is essential for every company or organization that's trying to market. Our fans expect us to be there, so that's a non-starter for us. But it is the most efficient and direct way to meet our fans and our audience where they are. Social media is heavily curated, it's carefully constructed, but we still think it's the most authentic way to show our team and who we are. You can watch our games or see our ads, but until you see a video of Cole Anthony joking around with Paolo and the chemistry they have, or our team and staff volunteering in the community, you don't know the full extent of who we are as an organization. So we really try and put our authentic selves out there and let fans build those bonds with us beyond just the basketball. And that's a a really key factor for us, and I think social media now is just essential for every business.
And actually, you know what, from the Magic's point of view, we'll jump off of that a little bit. A view and an interaction on social, do you consider that almost just as valuable as a viewer on television or a ticket buyer in the arena? Sort of what level do you treat that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have over 12 million followers around the world, and because of that distance and other constraints, 90% of those followers may never see a game at the Kia Center. So we have to find ways to meaningfully engage with those fans where they are. And so sure, if we can bring those fans in and they buy a ticket to a game if they can, or merchandise, they buy a jersey or stream our games online, that's extremely valuable. But from my perspective, it's about reestablishing and strengthening the bonds with our fans that we currently have and finding new fans around the world. And if we can bring new fans into our Magic community, then I think the rest will come.
That's awesome. All right, Alex, from your point of view, and for those of you who don't know, Foundation College Park is a phenomenal vintage record store right in the heart of College Park. Beautiful. Ask Alan Bird about it. Alan Bird, big fan, regular customer.
VIP customer, Alan Bird.
Nice. He's got his own parking spot, I hear. So really, for Foundation, social media is almost the primary way that you interact with your audience. How does that shake out?
Definitely, because it's any kind of retail setting, especially with what we do with used records and vintage clothing, our customers always want to see what's new, like what inventory we're getting in, whether my brother and I are out on the road buying a collection. It's just the easiest way for them to kind of get cued in on what's going on. And also, it's a great way for them to, let me think about this for a sec. Sorry, I'm just kind of blanking out. But I mean, it's our most useful tool by far, because it's the most direct way for our customers to get a hold of us as well. And they like that it's just my brother and I who run the Instagram too, so they know they're interacting with at least one of us. And we've understood that over these last 9 years that we've become a crucial part of the brand. And they want to, even though, if you go on our social media, our faces are nowhere on there. We just kind of let our content and curation sell it, and that kind of markets itself in a way. And so it, all in all, it definitely is a big, useful tool for us.
Well, I love that authenticity. When someone interacts with your social channels, they're interacting with you.
Right. Yeah, that's important. And they're like, I don't know if I'm talking to Alex or Peter, but whoever it is, they get the same, we treat everybody the same, so it's important.
Except Alan. That's fantastic. All right. So, Gio, we know you just completed the social media plan for the Expressway Authority. And so can you share some key sort of points from that plan and things that jumped out at you as real priorities?
Yeah, so it's a regular exercise for us at CFX to kind of review what we're doing on social media as part of just our routine sort of what are we doing well and what can we do better. So one of the big things that we always do is try to match that up with the strategic plan for the agency. So if you guys have got a business plan or a strategic plan for your businesses, if you're looking to build up your social media presence, a great way to do that and to establish some goals for your social media plan is to look at what you're doing and what you've got in your business plan or your strategic plan. So that's what we did. And the other thing is we set up some really specific SMART goals. Just 3 or 4 things that we felt really helped us achieve some specific things for the business, and then help us grow our social media presence in the region as well.
That's awesome. Now, Gio and I have actually known each other for 25 years now. We started our media careers together, so he's my old buddy, so I can bust his chops a little bit. So social media is supposed to bring everybody together, yet you create separate channels for the Knights Pass and the Gators Pass. What's up with that? Keeping the audiences separate? I don't understand. How does that work?
Yeah, so we have e-pass stickers for Gators Nation. We have e-pass stickers for Knight Nation and Knoll Nations for any Seminoles that are out there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about meeting the audience, meeting your audience where they are, right? And understanding that audience, for example, on Saturday afternoons is going to be hyper-focused on that team, and you want to be in that conversation. You want to find ways to incorporate yourself into that conversation. So we use hashtags. Obviously, the separate accounts for each of the ePass stickers is a big deal. It helps us get into that conversation. And it's just a great way to tap into the school spirit of each of those schools too. So it's just a great way to really differentiate yourself and find those niches where you can have your voice heard.
And don't let one pass have more followers than the other pass. I mean, we got to make sure there's some healthy competition.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you want to grow them as much as you can, and you don't want to put limits on each of them. But yeah, it's about just reaching the greatest number of people in that audience.
That's awesome. All right, Owen. I think of everybody here, the magic is probably on the most unique, different platforms. So how do you manage that? How do you determine what content goes on each platform? How do you optimize that content for each platform? What's involved in all that?
That's a great question, because as recently as 5 years ago, for resource constraints and efficiency, when we'd create a piece of content, we'd just blast it out to every platform. But the last few years, we've been really hyper-focused on specializing per platform. So we've brought in experts for each of those platforms, but also really, when you're about to make a post, you want to think about what am I trying to convey with this? What am I trying to say or announce or present? And who am I speaking to? And that's really going to dictate the platform and the type of content that you're going to create. When we make big announcements, player changes, score updates, Twitter or X is still the first place we go. That's where we can quickly engage with our fans. That's the town square. Instagram still continues to be one of the most important platforms, and it's a bit of a catch-all for us. We put beautiful photos on there and polished videos and highlights, but also our fans really resonate with phone footage, kind of behind the scenes, raw, authentic content there. TikTok is a unique platform all to itself. I know it can be a little bit daunting for some, but I think for small and large businesses alike, it's extremely important. It's where fans are engaging at a high rate. You have a real high chance of virality and getting seen by the most people. And it's a place where fans and audiences and customers are converting quickly. So our content that we post on TikTok wouldn't work anywhere else. TikTok content would not work on Facebook or Twitter. It's often shorter. We're creating content for a younger demographic. It's quicker cuts, and it's really often based on trending audios and sounds. But it's a lot of fun. We keep it very lighthearted there, as we try and do across all of our social media. And then YouTube is a place for longer form content where we can really tell our story. So videos from 2 minutes long to 2 hours long of old classic game recaps we put on YouTube. And I'm very bullish on that platform as a social media platform. Their YouTube shorts look a lot like TikTok and Instagram Reels, and we've seen just an immense amount of follower growth come from YouTube shorts. So if you're a business looking to get on social, I certainly, you'll always want to go on Instagram, but I would not ignore TikTok and YouTube. And Facebook, while it seems like it's been around forever and our follower growth domestically is a little slower than the others, engagement is still very high on that platform, and we still see a lot of local fans really engaging with our content there. So Facebook's not to be forgotten either.
And the lesson, I mean, listen, we've all done it. I've done it. Anyone who produces or manages social media content, you make a piece of content and you just want to put the same thing out everywhere, right? We've all been there. But I'm talking to me as much as I'm talking to anyone else. You've got to customize to the platform. So Gio, you had a thought?
Yeah, if I could just chime in there, just to echo what Owen was saying about video. It's such a huge, I mean, every video is really the way to go these days, but you don't need to have a huge budget to do that, and that's the one thing, because we do things at CFX with a relatively small staff, a relatively small budget, and we get good results, and it's just a matter of having some good tools. You can use an iPhone, you can use a GoPro camera. You don't have to have the big expensive cameras, a big team to do all of that stuff. It's really doable for most businesses.
I agree. All right, talking about platforms for a little bit, Reese, I'm going to have each of you just kind of walk us down what's sort of the Orlando Law Group's primary platform, why do you choose it, and what's your thought process there?
Yeah, kind of like I mentioned before, social media for us is really about engaging with the community that we've built. So for us, Facebook is a really, really big one. LinkedIn is really big as well. We usually utilize those to share events that the groups that have put on that we've attended and things like that, and just to try and engage with the community. We did try to go on TikTok. TikTok did kick us off because we gave legal advice and they didn't like that. So we are going to try to get back on, but it's just more of like additional for fun for my brain to kind of get some creativity going on. But Facebook and LinkedIn are our two biggest ones.
Okay, but getting kicked off TikTok, that is
It
a badge
broke my
of
heart
honor.
a little bit.
There you go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Alex at Foundation. I mean, I sort of perceive you as being Instagram forward. Is that accurate, or?
Yeah, I would say Instagram's our primary platform. Everything gets pushed through to Facebook as well. We don't have a TikTok. We've had a lot of customers say, oh, you guys would be great if you did videos and stuff like that, but for our audience, we kind of felt like it might not sit with them as well as if we had a different type of store, because like a lot of these used record and vintage customers, they might like not like that we made a video about, oh, here's our new arrival of the records today. Like they just like seeing pictures and seeing what the store has, and then they come in. And then the other thing is when it comes to actual advertising, so like all of our posts, like I said, get blasted through all that stuff. But when I'm posted, like when I do a paid ad, I kind of sit down and think about who I'm trying to reach, because our Instagram followers and our foundation or our Facebook followers are kind of like two different audiences. So there's certain ads that I'll just blast on Instagram that our Facebook followers won't see, and vice versa. And I would say like our Instagram follower demographics probably 16 to 35, maybe 40. Facebook is probably more like 35 to 65, 70. So I just kind of tailor my ads based on who I'm trying to reach. Like if I'm posting like a wanted ad, like, oh, we pay the best prices in town for X, Y, and Z, that's gonna go on Facebook before Instagram, because the people who have that kind of stuff aren't the 18-year-old kid who's scrolling his TikTok feed. It's gonna be someone who's in their 40s, 50s, 60s who's accumulated this stuff over time. So, yeah, that's it.
All right, Alan, where do you follow him? Both? All right, that's a good answer. You know, you touched on paid ads and things on social. And for anyone who kind of wants to jump in on this, how do you integrate that into your strategy? What percentage of your posts fall into the paid category? Just how do you manage it? Anybody who wants to jump in?
Just for what we do, it's like usually when I do a paid ad, it's to either promote like a Black Friday or our shop anniversary or like a wanted ad. I don't, any normal social media post of ours doesn't get boosted. I'm honestly pretty particular about what I'm gonna pay for when it comes to marketing and advertising in general. So I think that it really just, blanking out again.
Yeah.
I think that, but when it comes to paid ads, you just gotta, and the other thing about paid ads that are great is if you're in that mindset that you wanna do that, you can get so hyper specific about who you're trying to reach that you can have like, but at the same time, you don't wanna have too many different characteristics, because then you're gonna cast too big of a net and not potentially reach who you're trying to reach. So it's that fine line of like, finding the right radius, the right characteristics, the right age, etc. And I think everyone's business that's all subjective, but all of you know what would be best for that.
Owen?
Yeah, we run a lot of paid ads because we try and keep our organic social media as organic as possible and not make it a big driver for ticket sales directly. The big piece of advice I would say if you're creating ads and direct marketing to fans or your audience and customers is to make those ads look as organic as possible. A good tool is to, if you run a post that performs really well, after a week or two, if once the kind of run through the algorithm is done, you can repurpose that post as an ad and then target that to more fans. If your ad looks too salesy, people are going to scroll right over it. I'm sure you all do it every day, but if it's an engaging piece of content, people are going to stop, see it, engage with it, and then are more likely to convert.
Gio?
Yeah, so on the marketing side, which is at CFX where we push ePass heavily. We've been doing boosting and paid ads for a long time, and it's worked really well. On the communication side, which is more talking about where I work, talking about what the agency does throughout the community and, and all of that stuff, we're just starting to dip our toe into the boosting and paid ads, and it's really important because all of these social media platforms, they've optimized the algorithm to prioritize those paid ads, obviously. So if you have content that you really want to cut through, that you want to have cut through all the clutter that's out there, because it is a really cluttered atmosphere, the paid content and the boosted content is really the way to go.
Okay, very good. All right, Reese. So I love that you and the Orlando Magic are sitting next to each other, because exciting social media content, if you're the Magic, it's not hard to do, right? There's excitement. If you're a law firm, it might be a little tougher. So how do you make estate planning and all those kind of things engaging on social?
You don't. But that's okay. So our goal is not really to reach the people who aren't interested in that content. We're trying to target people who are already researching information about estate law, who are already researching information about the new HOA laws that just went into effect. That's our target audience. So for us, it's less about trying to make it exciting for those who don't really care about it, but instead making it more digestible for those who do. So right now we've been running a Q&A series. So every month we kind of have a theme. This past month was estate planning, and we take the most common questions that we get from our clients and we answer them 45 seconds, talking head. We try to make it a little fun with some nice graphics and some fun sounds, but in the end, it's a 45-second video answering the question that you probably have. So then they can go from that, and if they have more questions, they can either visit our socials and see all the other Q&A series we've done, or they can visit our website, or they can call us and schedule a consult.
I love that answer, because we put something out on social and we just want and expect everybody to love it, right? But being able to admit that it's okay just to serve your audience, like, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. There's no purpose for us to be trying to reach the 25-year-olds who don't own a home for our HOA content. So knowing your audience is really, really important when you create content.
Gio, kind of the same thing, because a lot of the communication you do is informational based. It's not necessarily flashy and sexy, but how do you manage that balance?
Yeah, so we want people to understand that as CFX is a road building agency, we're much more than that. There's a lot of technology that's involved in that, and we want to give people sort of a look behind the curtain, so to speak, and just let them know about all the great things that CFX is involved in bringing toll roads to existence here in Central Florida. So we're building a road out in Lake County, State Road 516, for example, that is going to have technology that's going to allow electric cars to pick up a charge as they roll over the road at highway speeds. We want to let people know about that, and there's that sort of technology, that sort of lends itself to just creating good content for social media.
That's pretty cool, right? Tesla owners in the room? Yep, there you go. Charge up your car while you drive. Okay, let's talk about metrics. The like, right? You put stuff out and then you watch that like counter and just hope it keeps going. But is that the metric? Is that the number one metric that you track? What other metrics do you track to really know, okay, this is effective? So Owen, we'll start with you and just work our way up the line.
Yeah, we track, it's one of my favorite parts about social media is the amount of data that we can garner from these posts that we can learn about our customers and our audience. They're endless. And so we track hundreds of different stats across our social media. Personally, my favorite is engagement rate. So of the people that saw your post, how many of them liked, commented, or reshared? It's always great when we have a post that reaches millions of people and goes viral. But if you have a post and the people that saw that post stopped and engaged with it in a meaningful way, that's a mark of good content. And so in addition to that, a lot of these platforms like Meta and TikTok when they see a high engagement rate on a post early on, it's much more likely to then be put back into the algorithm and go viral. So you really then have a chance for that post that you're really looking for with thousands or millions of views on it and a really high percentage of engagement.
All right. Reese?
My personal favorite KPI, for us, we utilize our website analytics a lot. We've been able to tell really specific information about our audience and what they're interested in. We recently noticed an uptick in people researching HOA information on our page, so we know that our audience is actively seeking out that information. So we know that our content we're putting out matches what they're looking for. If you're more in like a sales-focused company, it's helpful to tell you how far people are getting through your sales process. Is social media driving traffic to the website? Okay, great. If they're driving it to the website, is the website then engaging enough? Are people sticking around long enough? If they are, great. Are they putting stuff in their shopping cart? If they are they checking out? Like, it helps you really identify where the bottleneck within your process is.
Very good. Alex, what do you watch at Foundation?
I'll kind of piggyback what Owen said as well. Engagement rate is pretty big for us. And then just also even something as simple as your story views and things like that, because also, like what Gio was saying, is the algorithms typically will favor the pages that are doing more of these paid ads and things like that. So like sometimes you might think you have the best post lined up and you let it off and it just flops and you're like trying to figure out why, and then the next post you do just blows up and then you're still trying to figure out why. It's like that's something that happens with what we do all the time, because we think we've got this great like drop cooked up for our customers, and then it goes over everyone's head, minimal engagement rates, and then something very simple gets posted and it just, everyone wants it. So other than that, I mean, I don't really pay attention to our follower count. We don't have an e-commerce site either, so something unique about our shop is like, because it's a lot of collector's items, it's an in-store only kind of thing, because if I had a website, a lot of that stuff would sell very quickly and I wouldn't be able to keep our shop curated at the level that we become known for. So by doing that and keeping it in shop, that helps us drive customers right to our shop. And that's also how I can kind of gauge, like, because I don't have our e-commerce site to track the metrics on, so I kind of just see it as it comes in, but it works, definitely. So.
Very good. Gio, what do you watch at CFX?
Engagement rate is the top thing for us, but then also ePass app downloads. We push that heavily. We push people to the website heavily, so we watch those stats as well.
That's excellent. And one thing that came up, how often we get surprised by the stuff that catches on and what doesn't, right? I imagine that's happened to everybody that's posting on social. The thing that you don't think is going to get the most engagement sometimes does, and the thing that you expect to go the most viral doesn't. It's a bit of black magic, so funny how it works. All right, so we're going to wrap up with one key tip for everyone in here who uses social media as part of their life and part of their business. What's the one thing that we could do to increase the effectiveness of our use of social media? Gio, we'll start with you and just work our way down.
I think it's really being authentic, finding your voice on social media. It's so important, and I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in trends and things that are going on social media and kind of lose your way. So I think having your voice kind of well identified, and then being authentic to your brand and who you are as an agency or a business or whatever it is the most important.
All right, I like that. Alex, what's the secret to success?
Also, with what Gio said, being authentic, keeping it organic, not forcing it, and also being consistent. That's also very big too. I mean, these platforms want you to be posting stories, hard posting, reels depending on what your business is. So it's kind of hard to say one thing, but authenticity and consistency go hand in hand when it comes to social media, so I would say that.
Reese, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with both those, obviously. I think another really simple tool that people sometimes forget is to make sure you're including a call to action. You would never send out a sales email and not have a very clear next step of let's schedule a call, let's schedule a time to meet. It's the same thing with your socials. You don't want to end your customer journey. You always want to have a next step for them, whether it's follow for more content or leave a comment below or share to your page or whatever it is. You always want there to be an obvious next step. Otherwise, what's the point?
Well, and I love that. Again, like you said, you'd never send a mailer. You would never do an email campaign. Why would you do a social post any differently? So that's great. All right, Owen?
Yeah, in addition to those great tips, I would say identify and understand your audience. I really love what Reese was saying about how they're speaking to the audience that they know are going to be customers or would convert. You can't be everything to everyone. So really try and understand what your niche is, develop that authentic voice, and speak to those that you want to listen. Look back at your old posts that have performed well, although it can seem a little chaotic sometimes. Try and identify what was successful about those posts and what resonated with your fans and your audience, and try and replicate that. But learn as much as you can about the audience you're speaking to and really go after them.
All right, so we'll finish up by letting everybody know where they can find you. Owen, that's pretty easy for you. Where can we find the Orlando Magic on social?
At Orlando Magic. Download the app. I like that tip as well. But yeah, on any platform, go out and follow the Orlando Magic.
All right, Reese?
Yeah, we're on every platform too except TikTok. Don't bother.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry. All right, very good. Alex?
Yeah, we're on Instagram and Facebook as Foundation College Park.
Excellent.
And it's CFX Way. You can find us, or ePass, Null Pass, Gator Pass, Night Pass. You can find us on all the platforms except for TikTok.
Okay. Oh, man. Poor TikTok. And, of course, I'd be remiss to say you can also follow Lake Mary Life on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff. All right. Well, listen, fabulous just thought leadership here. We have a little bit of time for Q&A. If there is anybody in the audience that's got, a burning question to ask.
You got a loud voice, though. I can hear you really well.
So for each of you, I'm interested to know, specifically phone apps, what video editing software do you use?
Yeah, I'll jump in there. We do a lot in Premiere, which is not a phone app, but when we are cutting for TikTok in particular, Instagram Reels, CapCut is one that is made it very easy for people without prior editing skills to really dive in and do a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, CapCut's a really good one. They have free tools as well that are really helpful. I do a lot in Canva as well. Canva's super user-friendly, and they do also have free options as well.
We honestly keep our videos and reels to a minimum, so they just get edited in the platform. I don't really have any app I use for that. So.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
It's Canva for us.
Wow, Canva for the Expressway Authority. Very nice. All right, another question. Erin's getting a workout this morning.
Hi, I know for some of the bigger organizations like CFX, you said you had somebody in-house handling it specifically for you. But for somebody like Foundation, you said you spend a lot of time and you're trying to figure out the algorithms and whatnot. Would you consider, or would either of you recommend him hiring someone for that, like doing an agency? Or, I just know when I was in media, it was constant updates with Google and with social media, and it's hard to kind of, for me, run a business and stay on top of that and give the best, service that I could give.
Yeah, Alex, Reese, we'll go to you guys on this one.
I feel like it really depends on what your needs and your goals are with your business. With what we do, we keep it all in-house also from our prior experiences. We used to manage musicians and throw concerts before we had the shop, so we apply a lot of the marketing strategies that I learned through that into the shop. But when it comes to actually paying for a service or an agency, it all boils down to what your needs are. Like if you have big goals and are really trying to grow your business and you have the budget to pay for that, then I would definitely do that. But if you're also really bent on trying to do it all yourself and you want to keep your budget smaller for that kind of stuff, there are ways where you can be a self-taught marketing whiz too. It just depends how much time you want to put into that as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've worked with a lot of startups that don't have the resources to hire those agencies. They can be really expensive sometimes. I do think it's worth the money if you can find the time to hire, even if it's one person, that's like, I'm the marketing person for the law group, that's all I do. And while it's still a lot, having somebody who's very specifically focused on that is really important. I think a lot of startup CEOs get into it thinking socials is super easy, and then realizing it's incredibly overwhelming sometimes, and it's really, really hard to stay consistent with it. So I think it's really important to try and identify either one person on your team or set aside some time to really, like, that's your only focus.
That's outstanding. All right, well, that's all the time we have. Other questions, our social media experts will be up here at the front. So just want to thank everybody for being part of the panel. Gio Morales, Central Florida Expressway Authority, Alex Cohen, Foundation College Park, Reese Crawford from the Orlando Law Group, and Owen Fasolas from the Orlando Magic. Big hand for our panel today. Thank y'all. All right, folks, thanks so much. And now we'll turn it back to Rebecca.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for listening. To learn more about the Seminole County Chamber, please visit seminolebusiness.org or check us out on our social media at Seminole County Chamber.